What is up, everybody? This is Manny Bothans, and you're listening to the Manny Bothans' Primary Podcast. And holy fuck. Before I get started with any of this, not enough ass kissing goes out to Jay Maricade, who put this amazing lineup together. Just holy shit. I'm going to say just right off the bat, there are a lot of people on this list, a lot of very awesome people on this list, and we're going to go ahead and start off right at the top with Elise Randolph. If you'll go ahead and give us a quick intro.
Hey guys, I'm Elise Randolph, a member of Pandemic Legion, and really happy to be here.
Awesome, awesome. The man of the hour, Jay Maricade. Go ahead and give us an intro, buddy.
Jay Maricade, with DRF and Jimco, doing the Diplo thing, and I'm happy to be here as well.
Awesome. One of my new favorite YouTubers ever, Jintan. Go ahead and give us an intro.
Hello, everyone. I am a man of many, many roles, so I'll just be quiet for now.
All right, and Johan.
Yeah, Johan, CEO and Diplomatic Incident in Darkness, Guardians of the Galaxy, and the Editor-in-Chief for Eve News 24.
Oh, Darkness are awesome dudes. I remember fighting those guys. It was amazing. Lady Scarlet.
I'm Lady Scarlet. I'm NC Diplo, also leader of RMT, which is Rate My Ticks, and Botlins.
Awesome. Returning from last week, Pro God, go ahead and give us a quick intro.
Yeah, I dipped out halfway through last week, so I figured I'd pop back. I'm Pro God. I FC for Test Alliance.
Awesome. Also, were you with us last week, Tark? I could have sworn you were here.
Tark was here.
Yeah, go ahead and give us an intro.
I'm Tarkinius. I'm FCon's Alliance CEO, and I don't do very much.
Well, you're CEO, which means at least you get to take the blame for everything, right?
Well, that's half the job.
Travis?
Hi, I'm Travis. I see an NC Dot.
Travis seems familiar too. I think maybe we fought against you guys once or twice.
Oh, that's very possible.
Yeah. UAX.
Well, I'm just a random nobody that just been somehow invited to the show, so I guess that would be me.
Come on, UAX.
I'm Yextef. I don't know. Been playing this crap since 2004. Been part of pretty much everything, and I control lands and half of the universe. DRF, Gamico, whatever people call us, and I love everybody.
Awesome. And Urziel.
Version 99 with Flex Gaming, a member of the Bastion, also part of the Ministry of Love.
Welcome back, Urs. And I am Manny Bothans, host of the Manny Bothans' Primary Podcast. Floored dude on the Twitch stream tonight because holy shit, I rushed to get home today, and when I hopped into the mobile server, holy fuck, I don't think I've had this many people on the show before, and I'm talking to just about somebody from every major power block. Do we have a Pravi guy on? Where's my Pravi block?
Old Jintan.
Yo, sup?
Yes.
I am Providence's head FC and CSM member.
Then we've got our PL guys. We've got our N3 guys. We've got our Imperium representation. We've got our Jemico, our Russian dudes. It's just like
like we're actually not really missing anyone major, are we? Like I guess like Fountain.
You don't need Goons.
Wormholes?
Goons, yeah, we're not missing anyone actually.
Phoenix Federation is here as well.
Yeah, they're just an extension of like either Triumvirate or I guess we're missing Triumvirate as well. They're actually a thing.
Actually, no. I'm with Triumvirate, actually. I am Manny Bothans. I'm a line member with Maricue Enterprises and Just Let It Happen Alliance, and we're recently just joined the Vanguard Coalition with Triumvirate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so the only people that aren't represented is like Culture and Fountain Core.
Stainwagon. Stainwagon. We don't have Stainwagon.
They aren't important. They don't exist.
They're not Stainwagon anymore. They're just Wagon.
Yep.
They don't live in Stain anymore.
The Radio Flyer Coalition.
I don't think they have a wagon either.
So they just then coalition.
Just dot.
Yeah.
Just dot.
But my comment was I don't have any Marmites here. That's it.
I can call Tora up right now.
Yeah, we could probably get some Marmites on. I'm pretty sure everyone here knows someone. Shit, I could probably get Globby on. Holy shit.
Hold on, I'm calling Tora right now. Hold on.
Oh shit. This is getting crazy.
Look, this is the UN Council meeting. That's what the title of this podcast is going to be. The UN Council meeting of Eve.
The Manny Bothans' primary special episode. So what if we took the Eve UN Council and shoved them in a bar?
Normally, someone would get very offended because someone offended someone's wife, and then Delve 2012 would start, if I remember correctly.
We just need alcohol in here.
I mean, I can start drinking.
I've got mine.
Please.
Delve 2012, rest in peace.
Dude, never forget. PL AT tournament. AT.
Was that the dual tanked Vagas? Not that there's anything wrong with dual tanking, by the way. Let's just get that out of the way.
Oh, dude, what are you talking about? I triple tank.
It doesn't matter. Triple tank is
It's a ship I call the Quadruple Chi, the triple tanked Tristan troublemaker.
What about the shield and hull tank Hyperions? Are we allowed to talk about those?
Oh, that's just mean.
That sounds good just on the surface. I think it sounds good.
It's like your opponent starts fighting you, he's like, yeah, you're shield tank. You start going to armor, you start bleeding armor pretty heavily. He's like, yeah, I got this. And then he hits your structure. And he beats his head against a wall trying to take you out.
Well, was it 2 or 3 years ago TMA did that shit? They were rolling a whole tank setup. And everybody's like, oh my god, they're dying, they're in a hole. They're still in hole. Holy fuck, they whole tanked it.
Oh man, that shit is awesome.
And they actually won that match.
I forget. I think I remember which match it was. I don't remember which specific match, but I know the event. It was the Worlds Collide tournament. Hull tanked Fleet Typhoons.
Yep, that's what it was. His whole tank Fleet Typhoons.
That shit was fucking amazing. I laughed my ass off.
Because and then the other group accused them. Didn't they accuse them of DDoSing their comms?
What?
Oh yeah, the shit was like they DDoSed their comms and because they didn't want to admit they lost the TMA. And I think TMA I think they lost one Typhoon fleet issue. That was it. Like they just rolled them. Yep, we can hear it.
Yeah, 5-5, dude.
Oh man! So to have this many well-connected Nullsec elites here on the show can only really mean one thing. Some Drek has made contact with the oscillator, and shit's gotten real in a few places. So who wants to address the giant 50-foot pink elephant in the room?
I think UAX probably the one to address that.
Which one?
That's the great thing, isn't it? Where we have so many fucking pink elephants in the room with regards to Eve that we have to be like, which fucking major killing issue are we going to talk about today?
All right.
That is true.
While I was out and about and doing my driving, Jay was telling me about this article. Fuck, where is that text message? Shit. This is what I get for just rushing to the house and immediately jumping into a podcast.
Oh, the TRI article?
Yes, the article about the people that I'm currently with that I have no idea about because nobody has told me anything except where to park my interceptor.
It's on chat.
I think we have the writer of that article here too.
Oh right, it's the whole TRI FCON thing and that mess. Like, because Phoenix Federation has just been kind of in the middle between the DRF and TRI since the beginning, and like they've never kind of figured out where they stood, and they've been hesitant to commit to either side. Because I mean, if you commit to TRI, then you're like beholden to fucking Captain Patrick Archer and Ghast's wishes to just YOLO into every sort of fight that they can ever take because they love it, because they're fucking madmen. And if you go over to the DRF, you get very worried that Russians are going to come over and break your legs randomly for no reason.
I also can fuck your mama.
Good luck with that, you ex.
So, yeah. Oh shit, you are right there, Jay. We do have the author here. So, Johan, why don't you give us a bit of a TLDR of this piece? I know it's a massive work of wonderfulness that I'm still in the process of reading right now, and at the risk of spoiling myself, I would like to provide our listeners with a little bit of, maybe I want to say, background to what's going on. Let's say some random high-set Care Bear or some dude who has been told only where to park his interceptor was to take a look at this story for the first time. What sort of bits of info might he find useful?
Well, my week started off early with, or maybe it was late last week, Sarah put out an article about some leaks. I got some hate mail because they went to a sort of a restricted section of Kugu, so it was fake news. This isn't really happening. So I decided, all right, let's see. There's plenty of public information out there. There are plenty of Reddit threads, and I mean, up until recently, before I moved to Darkness, I was in tests, so I was familiar with the area. But I reached out to a few different people who were familiar with the overall political lay of the land, so to speak, Jay being one of them, just sort of to get a basic history of how the current, what seems like a disintegrating diplomatic situation there in the South is turning into a rapidly disintegrating and possibly a conflict, or who knows where that's going to go, right? But anyways, I started digging into the intel, the stuff that you can publish, the stuff that you can't publish. I started talking to people. There was sort of this content of heaven for TRI back prior to January of this year. They had Stainwagon. They had plenty of stuff to do. It seems like they were getting good fights and stuff was going on. So it was great, right? But then the landscape changed. I was in test at the time. We determined, along with our allies in what is now called the Legacy Coalition, that we weren't gonna stay in the north. So we retreated to the south, and then I actually was in Gatlinburg listening on Mumble when ProGod announced where we were going. My wife thought I was retarded because I had to be on Mumble in a McDonald's so I could catch the Alliance, State of the Alliance meeting and the announcement.
Sure wasn't that far away.
Yeah. So anyways,
That's hilarious.
We decided to, Test moved in, and that changed things because rapidly the content for TRI dried up. Test became sort of a large entity, power block stabilizing factor. That Stainwagon went away, and then with all the nips and naps and all that, I think TRI didn't have a place to go. There had been some other scuffles back and forth between FCON, TRI, and other entities there. Then ultimately, then I actually moved up to Darkness, and then TRI deployed up to the north. There was sort of a little engagement up there. Guardians of the Galaxy sent TRI packing back home. And at that point, it looks like maybe TRI, I don't know. And there's two sides to every story, right? I reached out to Patrick and some others. I haven't gotten a definitive statement on what their response to what we've written is, other than, we may respond later, we may not. But beyond that, it seems like there's some heavy-handed diplomatic or not so diplomatic actions being taken amongst not only allies but coalition members, and it seems to be creating a destabilizing condition amongst not only Vanguard internally, but that whole DRF Vanguard FCON sort of mutual defense little area. And that's kind of where the articles got up today. There's more research we're doing, and hopefully more articles will do, but this article sort of laid the history of where the conflict is generating and what's causing things to sort of fall apart a little bit down there.
Well, what is causing things to fall apart a little bit down there?
I think the number one thing is TRI's not getting the content they want. And it from everything I've read and from the individuals I've talked to, halfway through the week that what was the Reddit post by Gerst with the SoundCloud recording.
Gerst.
Whatever. Anyways, I talked to Peter, and I mean, he was pissed because he didn't even know that was being recorded. I got his side of it, and it seems like a lot of heavy-handed actions by Triumvirate themselves. Then, obviously, there's two sides. So I will readily admit there could be another side to this that I haven't seen, but I've talked to people in FCON, I've talked to people in Vanguard, I've talked to people all over, and they all pretty say the same thing, that it's just with the leaks and things that we're seeing come out and with the chat logs and all that, it just seems like there's definitely, I think a lot of the individuals around TRI feel disrespected, and TRI is sort of, I don't know. I think there's other people on this channel that could speak more to that because they're in those positions, but that's the feeling I got, and that's how the article sort of took shape.
Hey, UAX. Have you read the article?
Yeah. I mean, there is always in my experience, there is three sides of the story, right? His, hers, and how it wasn't for real, right? So it kind of goes here the same way. There's some things that have been unsaid, some things that I've been reading and whatever. But the major point here, from what I read in an article and what I spoke with a Garst, and he assured me that that they do have a huge lack of content, and they definitely looking to do something, but those logs was fake and was either taken out of the contest or whatever. So, but the more I look into it, the more it looks that it wasn't. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that there's always a way, there's always a path to not to screw up, I guess, your relationship with some people, some of your neighbors, or I don't know, the people who you've been making deals. Am I right, Elise? I mean, we always could find a way of shooting each other and without any problems. And if you're having a huge lack of content, which I doubt it, there's always a way to get it established, even through some people that you blew now.
Yeah, for sure. There's always a means to shoot somebody and have fun, engaging content, while still having being on good terms with people. But on the other hand, for a group like TRI, I don't think it's like a massive mistake to go and burn diplomatic bridges. They need to do something to stay active. If they just sit in their corner of the universe and just take out 40-man Helo fleets every once in a while, or typing Tengus to like try and three-way on a bigger fight, they're going to start hemorrhaging members. You know, like the people who fly don't want to just be sitting on the sidelines fighting over scraps. They want to be, you know, in the midst of everything. So if you're TRI and you're just sitting there and letting everything happen around you, while you have like a NIP/agreement in the north, you have the north of you have an agreement to the south of you. There's really not much you can do because I've watched your members slowly leave. So I could understand some of the frustrations there.
But Ellis, let me interrupt you one thing. But that magic dream of nomad people, it doesn't really exist on Eve. I mean, the game itself doesn't design it that way. You know, I mean, you're either in or you're either out.
Yeah, I was gonna say it kind of reminds me like Pandemic Legion in 2008 or 2009. We weren't known as like a group to be like very diplomatic at all. We'd come up with agreements, then immediately just cancel them. But the game is a lot different now. But still, if you're someone like TRI, you're not at the very top and you're not at the bottom. You're just sitting somewhere in the middle. You can't do like cool dread bombs. You don't really have the infrastructure to do like cool wormhole routes and fishing that way.
Oh my god.
Well, I mean, it's true.
God damn.
Okay, so I'm gonna put this out there to any of the guys in TRI who might be listening to this show. And honestly, once I've actually got my feet under me and I'm out there trying to go on the few fleets that you guys do have, because you know I'm with TRI right now. I'm gonna be saying a lot in comms too, because there's of my experience in SMA, there's only one good thing I took away from all that, besides, you know, all the money I made care bearing it up in their space. I'll talk about a little event that we had. We didn't have a lot of content at the time. We'd have some folks from NPC Null come and poke at us a few times, but you know, nothing really big. So one of our members got together with the folks who supply our SRP program, and they put together like 1,000 firetails, unmanned, fully fit and armed, just sitting next to a POS. And we all warped there in pods. We would just get into firetails and blow each other the fuck up. And when our ship exploded, we'd get in another one. And they were just sitting there floating out there in space. The only rules were you don't pod anybody, and any ships you explode has to have somebody in it. And that shit was like 3.5 hours of fun. That shit was awesome.
Here, can I understand? Oh, sorry.
You're cutting out. Jay, you're cutting out.
Yeah, Jay, we couldn't hear a shit what you said.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, now it seems to be stable.
All right, sorry about that. I was saying, to speak to what Elise was saying, you know, I don't think anybody here, you know, disagrees that they need content, and that, you know, doing what they're doing is, you know, the right move to keep Triumph from folding in on itself, right? But I think the other side of that is there is a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things. I think it's kind of what UAX was saying.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, the way they're doing it right now is probably going to be detrimental to their long-term future, but a boon to their short-term future. Like, I'm pretty sure TRI is going to get a resurgence of activity, and they'll be out being able to do stuff. They'll be able to get a critical mass for a bunch of different fleet doctrines. With the Tech 3 rebalance and the stuff like that, I can see them flying Lokis all the time. Like, I'd imagine they'll be able to punch above their weight for quite a while when they do something drastic like this. Now, maybe further down the road, they won't be able to come up with a pact where they can just hold on to R64s for almost 2 years. But, I mean, that's...
Well, R64s in and of themselves can very, very, well, not extremely soon, but hopefully soon become just raiding targets for people who want to mine moon minerals off the bodies of other people.
Yeah, so maybe that's what they're thinking is they're saying, you know, we've got this agreement with the DRF where we can get a bunch of R64s and R32s in riding space and stuff, but we've had 2 years to do that and make a bunch of money. So why not just turn on everything? And you know, it's kind of when you're down in the dumps and you feel like nothing's going on around you, or you're feeling in a bit of a rut, it's kind of exhilarating to just say, you know what, screw everything. We're doing a reset for everything. We're gonna go all out on everyone. And
no,
you know,
I get that. Sorry.
I was gonna say, and if that gets people in fleet, then go for it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's the diplomatically the wrong way to do it. But this is, at the end of the day, it's still a spaceships game where if they can burn some bridges, maybe that provides even more content for them in the future.
Well, sure. I mean, just saying, fuck you guys. I'm gonna shoot everybody. There's no nips. We're just gonna kill everybody. That's fine. It's all the behind the scenes backstabby. I mean, TRI has always been, I guess you could say, untrustworthy. I mean, they've broken so many deals throughout the years, and maybe UX can speak to this, but I mean, I remember, back when they were in the shit with XIX and, the shit that happened with Solar, and, I mean, this is, I think this is going to just effectively kill them diplomatically. I mean,
as I was writing the article, I was thinking with Jay, you're hot micing. As I was writing the article, I was thinking of one thing. Like, we're in where I live in up in the north now in darkness space. There's definitely some quiet systems up there, but we get plenty of content back and forth between like Pandemic Horde. So we love to shoot Horde every day of the week, but we also love those guys. Like, we stick to our diplomatic agreements, but we get content like 24/7 between the two. And then if there's a threat to our space, we will blew them up in a heartbeat and, handle business. I mean, they're good guys. So I think, though, from what I sort of took as I was talking to different people involved, and the one conversation, which was Peter at Manifesto, that really struck me is like, I mean, that, to have, he went in there with a conversation and they were talking about it, and, the exec of TRI who had just come back had said, look, why were you talking to these other people? Well, I was a little unnerved by the threats that were made by, Patrick. And so, according to him, and mind you, there could be other things that I haven't seen, right? And, people are going to show me what they want to show me, and I'm always fully aware of that. But, he was like, we hadn't taken any hostile actions, and it was merely a defensive thing in case TRI turned hostile on us. And, we felt like we were sort of forced into the coalition at gunpoint, which, I mean, you could take that both ways. You never had, he could have simply just not joined Vanguard and then stood on his own, and either what came would come. But on the flip side of that, you have, a guy who gets you in a room and says, all right, let's talk about this. But it was obvious from the beginning of that conversation that, in my opinion, his mind was made up. He was kicking him. He wanted to get something on tape because he was recording it and he was going to post it to Reddit. If I'm a CEO of an alliance, I'm never going to deal with that guy, because that's, and maybe that's naive. All right. I may play this game at 7 years, but I've not operated at the level of a lot of the people in this room. But I'm not going to deal with that guy ever, because to me, that's sort of a dick move, and that was, that sort of set the tone for some of those lines you just don't cross diplomatically, because eventually you're going to have to be able, even people you don't like, you have to be able to get in a room and talk to them and come to some sort of agreement to get something done.
Well, this is why, from my perspective, coming again from the past, dealing. Let me go back a little bit, right? When there used to be a huge, mighty North Coalition, right? That came pretty much with the same idea, stuff, whatever you're gonna call it, to me, and said, "Hey, by the way, we're just gonna attack Solar Fleet, and we're gonna keep you guys, because you're cool beans and whatever, blah blah blah," right? So I sat down with myself and I said to myself, I said, "Listen. If they're going after Solar Fleet, which at that time I had already a bad relationship, but still was my neighbor, was my problem, my shit, whatever you're gonna call it, right? What does it, or what exactly gonna stop them just from, going after me and whatever?" And so, long story short, all of you, or some of you know how this North Coalition shit end up, right? For pretty much raped them and killed them and took them apart. Here, from those logs, I saw pretty much the same, which, being said that it would be really nice if we can go and attack Solar Fleet, and yet we want to make sure that the XIX is just going to stay away from it or whatever. I don't know. I mean, it just kind of, flashbacks to me, and I don't want to say anything bad about Agaris, because me and him, we had some nice chats down here, but it just I don't get the concept, I don't get the idea. It makes no sense. As I said previously, that there's always a way to get a content, there's always a way to get people you might not like or whatever in the same room, and again, Solar Fleet and TRI were together fighting us, trying to reap us apart as a Gamico, and we stood up to it. So, and I don't know, it's kind of a little bit shaking my head.
No, I mean, I think it makes sense. I mean, to Lisa's point, like, they have to do something. I think it's all. I don't think it's as similar, but it's almost similar to what NC Dot did a number of years ago when there's Tech Doc up north. Like, it was obviously us, Goons, and PL just making hundreds of billions of ISK a month, and then but it got to the point where this is boring as fuck. So we just said fuck it, and we started shooting Goons.
Speaking of Technetium, all of these whiners on REVE about citadels and like how long it's taking CCP to address some of these issues, they just don't know. I mean, it took 3.5 years for Technetium. They can wait a little bit on Citadel Void Bombs. Sorry. I know that was all an aside.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how you got there, Pro God.
Can I ask you guys a question?
I'm still bitter about Technetium. Like I'm more bitter about that than anything else in the game ever. Like,
I got a quick question. The way I understand, from my perspective, right? The way the CCP is trying right now, rebalance and all that stuff. The way I see it is they're pushing it more again towards owning and controlling the space. So this is how you can make a profit rather than that nomad dream that used to really working before, where you have some just the moons or some 10 out of the 10 complex and making a profit out of it. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they want to do. At least that's what they say they want to do and what it seems that they want to do. Maybe Jintan can give a little bit more clarity about what's going on since he's in the CSM. But the problem is it's always going to be the players. We're kind of massive douchebags when it comes to this. They say, okay, players, you have to be in space to make money. We're like, okay, well, we'll just hold hundreds of systems and rat and supers and just mine with like 50 Rorquals. And then they're like, no, we don't want you to do that. Like, oh, why don't you want me to do that? And then throw shit at each other on the EVE subreddit is kind of hilarious to watch.
EVE-R is amazing. I love it. It's just entertainment for days.
Yeah, I will admit, a lot of the recent CCP changes were I mean, they would argue on REVE this isn't the case, but they were mostly player requested. Like a lot of the soft changes and all that, this is the things that the players have been asking for. And now that we have them, people are not happy, I guess. I don't know.
No, it's not about what I'm asking, happy or not happy. What I'm saying, it's kind of a little bit maybe a suicidal, breaking or burning all the bridges when, the major source of the income as employer, which everybody wants to be, and TRI is not any different at this point, right? Is going to be controlling the space or somehow, or I don't know, be able to, I guess, make that kind of income. But that's only be possible if you are in a relationship, right? And
yeah, you always have to be
bring the bridges.
You have to be friends, or if you want to own space, you have to be able to at least be cordial with some of the people that live next to you. With the exception of if you live in NPC space where it doesn't matter, like your shit can never get pushed in. But
then you're not gonna make the same profit, am I right, Ellis?
Yeah, no, that's actually true. Like they'll probably never be making like trillions of ISK a month. But who knows? But for them, maybe it's a calculated risk. I mean,
it's like this. I don't make as much money as those who live in player-owned Nullsec, but I get to be the Mongols. I get to be the exception to everything.
That's the thing. You don't have to choose. You can do both. There's tons of people in the game that they rent and then they also live in NPC Delve, or they rent and they play like in PL, or like they just take advantage of like one of our rental empires, or I always make my ISK as a spy, like that's how I make my ISK. So like I'll FCN NC dot, and then if I need to go make ISK, I'll just log into my FCon tune and do it in their space.
Say over 3/4 of renters belong to a major alliance.
Oh shit.
Those options are not mutually exclusive.
Well,
it's very easy to make ISK and still like do whatever the fuck you want in the game.
Well, and I think that's exactly it. Like, I've been literally on every side of the game, right? I think everybody here knows that. And I don't have anybody out there except for, maybe a few select people, but everybody in this room, for example, which represents the majority of Nullsec, I've never burned a bridge, ever. There's no need to.
You haven't been having as much fun as you could have. Sometimes it's really fucking fun to watch a bridge burn, though.
Yeah, I won't lie. When we burned the SMA bridge, that was kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this, like I said before, this is still spaceships. Like, if you begin for a try, like if this move makes it so they can get a lot of people in fleet and people fear them like militarily, then someone is still going to make a diplomatic agreement with them down the road, because they're like, well, we have to because they're really strong, so we can get strong-armed into it if we're much smaller. So I don't know. I respect what TRI is doing. I mean, it's not what I would do personally, but I respect exactly what they're doing, and I think it's a pretty solid move on their part.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%. I think if they didn't do this, they'd be dead pretty quick. I mean, I definitely agree with them needing to do something like this for sure.
Well, I put at the end of my article, and I said that even from what I talked to some of the anonymous line members in TRI, they're in they're not in a good position. They definitely have got to do something. So yeah, I mean, despite all the herf and blurf and what everyone's saying, they've got to make a decision and do something. So maybe lighting the bridges, and you never know, a year from now or 2 years from now, people may be sitting around and go, that shit was brilliant. Who knows?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's still TRI, so I don't think people can be putting TRI and brilliant in the same sentence.
I think the complaint is, they don't care that TRI wants to reset people, but why couldn't they have decided to move like across Eve and, did a friendly reset and maybe, PvP later?
Well, it was not only that.
Sorry.
It was not only that, but when I talked to the people in FCON and other people, it wasn't even that. They were more than willing to brawl with them. Even Manifesto was like, dude, we love brawling with those guys. We love fighting them. The executive said, we liked having content with them. It was whenever you entered an agreement with them and then you called them on violating the agreement, just sneak around and find another one, or they would just cloaky camp with newts, and then all of a sudden I would pour through and, their sinos and it wasn't that they weren't willing to fight them. Even everyone that I was like, yeah, we're all them daily, but they got tired. From what I understand is they've just gotten tired of them not living up their end of the agreements, the basic nips and that type stuff.
Well, I think the kind of segues into things. One is obviously FCOM was the other half of that article. We haven't heard anything from Turk. And then number two, the death of content, I think, is the next we should probably go into, because that's kind of why this is happening, I think.
Well, just on the TRI thing, from the FCON side of things, I think it's already been pretty much said. It's having them as neighbors. It's great content for us, just like it's great content for them. We get brawls out of it, and we did have the nip in place where we've both gained a lot of that, a lot of mutual benefit. Stain wagon war, the helping Test take the South. There's been a lot of fights that we've had because of it, but it's also just the trust is something that has to be there for something like that to be sustainable. And the leaks that came out, the trust isn't there anymore, and that reputation isn't something that can just be patched up in a day. It's not something that you can say, okay, well, I'm going to take your word for it that this planning you did, all these things that you said you were going to do, that kind of threw away every bit of trust you may have had on how we dealt with each other, with the expectations we had, the long term deals we had, just throw it out the window, out of boredom. I understand the boredom, I really do, but trust matters to me, and reputations follow
And
you. So
relationship.
that's my opinion on it.
Well, and the word is only thing
Thanks
that
for
you
the
really
follow,
have,
bro.
not just in real life, but in the game as well, because your word is what you're worth.
Well, and I mean, what do you think about the? I mean, obviously there's some stuff in there about them not just walking away from the nip, but I mean, like he was saying as far as in the article about them, hitting you guys pretty much when Garsh went away. Is that pretty accurate? That as soon as Garsh went away, they, were weaseling around the nip and stuff?
Yeah, there's definitely truth to that. Some of it was line members doing it, and obviously no one in leadership that was active handling it in any way whatsoever, like you would expect, somebody who signed a deal to do. Other parts of it were active planning. I think the leaks include part of that, the planning to break the nip in order to place a citadel to get this content they're talking about inside of our space, or assault of our citadels. I'm sorry. Or maybe it was place a citadel. It's really late for me, guys. I apologize. Either way, there was active planning to break the nip on their part, just to create content. They didn't plan to invade at the time, but it was, specifically this breaks the nip, but we don't care because it's going to create content for us. And just that thought process right there, you can't trust somebody to keep a deal if that's the way they think. It's never a one-sided thing when it comes to a deal. There's a compromise. Each side has to give something up for the other side in order for the deal to work. And if one side is just ignoring the compromise they made in that agreement, then the deal's basically useless.
Well, and some of those Diplo channels that were leaked were pretty damning as well, as far as their leadership coming to Patrick and saying, oh, this kind of breaks the nip we have with so-and-so, and Patrick's like, I don't give a shit.
So I'm sure Lady Scarlet can kind of jump in on this or talk about it a little bit more, but that's exactly what happens when you have an FC running an alliance, right? Like they have and some sort of diplomatic agreement.
Vision.
Yeah, exactly, because they just want to have fun and own. If people like Lady Scarlet didn't exist, NCR, Travis would just go around zonking everything, dude.
I'm pretty sure there's days that Travis and Vince want to kill me, because they see things from a very military perspective, and I look at the long-term relationships with the people that, we're talking about hitting or whatever.
I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, it's just an FC wanting to spread his wings and fly, and that's
it's maybe as some as we're thinking it might be a right move or not, but then again, which said been many times, like dead horse beating here, but you still can have a relationship, even though if you're spreading the ways or separating or doing something of your own. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say, your reputation means a lot.
Well, I listen to this and I think about, when we were blue to CO2. They came in, they helped in World War B, and, we PvP'd together and everything. And in their mind, it was going to be a long-term relationship as far as the ally or coalition, whatever you want to call it at the time. But when that was over, there was no way in hell that we were going to stay blue to, 50 alliances. We wouldn't have anything to do if we stayed blue to everybody. So, I was asked to relay the messages to alliances about friendly resets, and Giggits lost his shit over it. And it's like, well, you're stabbing us in the back. And it's like, no, we're not stabbing you in the back. We just can't keep everybody blue. Well, the next thing you know, he's like pissed off at us and, wanting to kill us and this and that. But, people got to do what they got to do to save their alliances. It may not benefit, everybody in the long run, but, if you stay blue to 30 people or 30 alliances, just because you're friends with them, your alliance is probably going to die.
Well, especially if you don't have a way to generate that content. I mean, I remember back in the N3 days, NC reset almost everybody. I mean, and it was on very friendly terms. And I don't know if you want to talk about that, but that was a good example of doing it the right way, I think.
I mean, we came together for a goal, and when that goal was no longer, a thing, we all went our ways. Some alliances survived, some didn't, but I think if NC hadn't reset people, we probably wouldn't be where we're at now, So you just have to look, what's good for you.
And to all the people who get super duper butthurt about a friendly reset, you have to keep in mind, setting you not blue does not mean we're going to come beat down your gates, burn your space to the ground, and basically crush our enemies. I mean, see them driven before me, and hear the lamentation of the women folk.
That actually did happen to CO2. You friendly reset them and then actually did stab them in the back, as far as they see it.
I can't think of a single time NC Dot had we've ever we're just gonna reset for good fights that we haven't taken your space or lost our space trying to take your space. That just doesn't happen.
Oh,
I mean, I know it's
happened to me a lot.
I know it's working for yeah, I know it's working for Horde and Darkness right now, but it's in 3 months. One of those guys is going to own the North, or neither will. But that doesn't last. It starts with lol good fights, and then we accidentally killed your Keepstar.
Whoopsie.
Rip your whole alliance.
I mean, things that a lot of the time. So here's what happens, because PL gets accused of doing this all the time. It kind of escalates sometimes. And you can't really stop it once the ball starts rolling. The intention is, we'll just have some good fights. And oh, well,
yeah,
to get these good fights, they stop showing up. We have to reinforce something.
And then talk shit on Reddit.
Yeah.
No, that Kugu doesn't exist anymore. That's not how it works anymore. I have learned my lesson.
See, here's how it works at PO, right? They come in, you get some good fights, then some dumb shit FC, talk shit in the local, and then their shit goes bye-bye.
Okay, we need to make a new trending topic
Once
on Twitter.
Once upon a time, I dared Shadu to take our space.
How'd that work out?
Real talk, the best content driver in this game, bar anything, is insulting an enemy FC, because every FC is the most machismo motherfucker you'll ever meet, and if you insult them, they will get super butthurt and try and fuck you up over it. It's the greatest thing.
Wasn't it Neuro Sammy that was talking shit to not Killer B, but oh my god, my brain's fried. Wow.
Everybody.
The campaign commander.
Now talks shit to everybody. There's not one name I can think of that he probably hasn't talked shit to.
Yeah, Lady Scarlet I remember better, but the other probably alliances have died because they talk shit to me.
I propose new trending topic on Twitter, hashtag shit on Kugu 3.0.
Yeah. Well, what's you're talking about people, FCs and stuff like that. Yeah, usually in Alliance, one FC smack talks another. It escalates into this or that. I can only think of one time in my 7 years in EVE where the Alliance instantly was folded and said, no, fuck that, and fed the FC to I was in Tribe, back in 2012 when Hyde shit-talked Grath in public. And Grath dropped a rage bomb on us, and Tridget could not kick him out of the Alliance quicker than he could push that button. He was like, your corp is good.
Which Hyde?
Not the Hyde in PL. The cat Hyde. This was a Hyde.
Mr. Hyde.
I remember that guy.
Okay.
He was a FC we kicked out of Nully. Yeah, I remember.
Yes, and he was in Tribe. He was sort of our military director, and something happened. He shit-talked Grath on the HBC forums, and I can still find the email if you search for it, but Grath basically dropped a bomb and said, I'm coming down there. I don't care if you're in the HBC. I'm burning Tribe to the ground. Tridget woke up, and you looked on there, and his whole corp was kicked, and they were told they couldn't come back until Hyde was out of our space.
I do find it hilarious how Hyde basically got passed around like fucking a used condom for at least a year after that. No one fucking wanted him.
It was Ron Mexico. It was Ron Mexico who Neuro talked shit to.
Doesn't surprise me. Does Ron Mexico even play anymore? All he does is salt post on Kugu. All I know. Sorry, on Twitter and like Reddit about how bad the game is.
I mean, when you play at a certain level for a long enough time, you do burn out. Like that does happen. Ron was super active. He was essentially PL's U.S. time zone for like almost 2 full years. So he'll be back.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, I worked with him during the fucking Brave War because, you know, oh, those were the days.
Well, I've taken years off. I mean, I took 2 years off between when Bob fell apart and then my surgery and all that shit. And then the last year after all this shit with FCON and TRI, I took a year off. I mean, it's a burnout.
What you do is still taking a break. He'll be back any day now.
I heard Elo was kicking around.
Elo
Probably not.
stops playing Dota for exactly long enough to get some people's hopes up and then never play again.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's becoming a more of a joke with Elo than it is anybody else.
I mean, it's hard to
Wasn't
get,
Elo on the show at one point?
Yeah, we had Elo and I on. I think we had him on pods back once.
Yeah, good times.
It's really hard to get back into Eve when your entire playstyle just doesn't exist anymore. Like Black Legion can't exist the same way it used to, which kind of sucks because Black Legion was awesome and they were fun to fight with, but just that style of PvP can't exist.
It was fun to read about them on.
It
was fun to read about them on our Eve, Black Legion, so much fun.
Well, some of the shit he pulled off, capital wise, was, I mean, fucking amazing in my opinion.
But that's like another group where you can never trust their word, right? And you can see exactly where that led them.
Oh,
They
no.
would
Black Legion
flip-flop.
took that to the next level. I mean, I don't think anyone even came close.
Yeah, Elo would flip-flop between agreements like it was, I don't know.
Alice, and that's one of the reasons why they no longer in a game.
Yeah, they
got patched out of existence.
Yeah, well, he used to talk to us until the CEO of my old corp, Vigilante, basically accidentally an entire BL super fleet one night. He was not happy.
Is BL like the ultimate example of what happens when an FC runs an alliance, though? Like,
yep, it is.
Oh, yeah, the alliance does like super fucking well because everyone believes in this one dude. But like,
BL's
holy shit,
Legion's biggest problem. Well, their biggest problem is not only were they led by an FC, but like Elo. I mean, I think whether you like him or hate him, he's clearly one of the best FCs to play the game. And the shit that they pulled was really unique. So you had this situation where Elo would be extremely active, like playing 12 hours a day at times. He's running these fleets and these ops that are extremely high skill from an FC level and, you know, hard to pull off against the best enemies in a game. He's one of the few dudes who would just go straight up against PL and NC sometimes. I know y'all would call him Fleelo. I know he wouldn't fight all the time, but yeah. And then he'd go inactive, and Black Legion would be left in a situation where they had no one left, no one around who could do the things that Elo do, but all their members were used to Elo ops.
Well, the problem is when you have like a personality that big and that dominant as Elo, it doesn't allow any other FC to grow. Like there is no number 3.
Yeah.
Like
Well, Black Legion always used. I mean, it was a personality cult, good or bad, for Elo. I mean, it was if he was on, they pull insane numbers. If he wasn't, you know.
Yeah.
Well, in the short term, it can be good, but it's always destined to fail in the long term.
Well, there was another issue. I had one of the guys in my corp who his continuous Jay, you're hot micing again.
Sorry.
There was a guy, Draymond, who was in my corp. Basically, he would be like, you know, Elo would be on, we'd do it. But one of the things that he sort of let me in on is like in Black Legion, one of the issues is Elo was trying to run the fleet and he was trying to run the alliance. He just wanted to run fleets. He didn't want to run the alliance. And then he got burnt out, he left, and then of course there was no one there to carry it on. Well, when White Legion formed and they tried to come back, you know, they tried to get someone else to run the alliance, but it was still all, you know, centered around Elo. And, you know, he even says, you know, I'll come back to the game if Elo comes back, but otherwise I'm gone. And so they're just people that just, you know, you've got a certain guy you want to follow, and it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, with personality cults like that, like Atlas is the old school Atlas is another classic example. Like they were up to 3,000, 4,000 people. They used to put like what, hundreds of dreads in fleet, multiple fleets. But if Bobby Atlas wasn't around, they really were not that effective.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm so happy that fucking Atlas is back though. Have you seen them? They're in the
No, I
QFC.
haven't.
They're not like the old Atlas, but it just warms my heart to know that they still exist in some form.
Oh, and they were killing some shit too.
Well, there was about 4 or 5 years ago, Atlas was like right next to Manny's Alliance, Cascade Imminent and stuff. They were
Atlas
back, but I
back.
mean, like shell their
Incurious.
former selves. Really sad. Kind of like the AAA, you know.
Or Stanwagon.
AAA that's been around the past couple of years is just nothing like the old AAA.
Yeah.
Hey, so the
like,
follow?
Holy shit! Watching AAA go from like when they got kicked out, after they got kicked out from the South the second time in 2012. That was just like
that wasn't the second time.
Random
you know
question
what I mean.
out there,
like,
guys.
The second time I was around for.
Who's Cascade Eminent?
Shitter alliance that got dumpstered and died hilariously on the middle of Cuckoo.
I was like, wait a minute. The Progod was like living next to Manny's Alliance, Cascade Eminent. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not familiar with that term.
Yeah,
Other
so
than,
back in
you
the
know.
day, there was an alliance that lived in the south called Cascade Eminent. They were blue to Nully, and they were blue to AAA, and they were blue to Atlas Dot. And we fought them one summer. We moved to Delve and fought them and just murdered Drakes every day.
That was that war where Manny decided to literally clog y'all's guns with Drake Rex and see if y'all tired out from it.
And then, hilariously enough, like the main corp in Cascade Eminent, Body Count Inc., ended up joining Pandemic Legion and stayed there for like 5 years. Now they've reformed the Mercenary Coalition, and Manny has left PL to reform Havoc. They're up in the drone
that
right
Manny.
Yeah, it's the other Manny.
Yeah,
Manfred Sidious. The reason I haven't been going to a lot of Eve meets because I'm nervous if I go to one where Manfred Sidious is at, somebody yells Manny, and both of us look at it's going to be super awkward.
Yeah, that would
God,
be way
I
awkward.
should have got him on. Then it'd be really confusing.
Oh God, I bet he is. I haven't talked to the guy only because I'm afraid of all the awkward.
I think you'll be fine, man.
At least you don't have a girl's name.
Yeah.
Just call him Pake.
Mr. Sidious or just Manfred.
Yeah.
Of course,
You know, the
everyone
guy
could
who
just call me
started
that
Tekka.
guy that dies all the time.
No, you did name your show that your primary.
Oh yeah, well, there's two reasons behind this. One, when I first started doing my own thing, I put a contest out there that made the name of the show. And when we took a look at the entries, Manny Bothans' primary really harkens back to an old story when I started podcasting. As soon as I started podcasting on Podside and people actually started knowing who the fuck I am, I would go out in fleets, and I think this happened a lot when I was in SMA. When I would go out in fleets, people would go, "Hey, look, it's Manny Bothans," and then all of a sudden I'd be dead. So I get the feeling that Manny Bothans is always primary, just either one, because they've heard of the show, or two, because Manny Bothans died to bring you this kill mail.
Dude, maybe you're just Rockstar.
Yep, I like to liken it up to the fact that I've now become space famous.
Well, the best part is when you become like so moderately space famous that you know that you're going to be primary every fight, so you can convince the Logi to pre-lock you.
Oh, yeah, why do that? Nowadays I just fly the Logi wig.
You need to FC so you can order all the Logi to put reps on you even when you're not primary. Just keep them on you.
It doesn't work. If they want a primary, they will primary you.
Oh yeah.
As I said, I had almost 100 alts that I was constantly switching, and still there was a spies and somebody else who were figuring it out. Because no matter, you can hide behind any kind of alt, right? But there's always experienced eyes that will see who is running the shit. because we all act differently than other grunts. That's how we're getting spotted.
So there's an interesting topic of conversation then. FC ships. Discuss. I'm going to stay out of this one.
Actually,
like
I'm gonna go discuss right now with my pillow.
You know, the
Post-patch FC
thing that...
ships?
No, I mean like the fucking thing that Fuzzy talked about.
Oh yeah, those FC cockroaches.
Oh.
So apparently it's like this super duper tanky ship that doesn't do anything except maybe provide one command boost. But it's supposed to be like the FC ship where anybody who's leading a fleet can hop into one of these things, not be effective in the fight at all, be on grid, and be super fucking tanky so that he doesn't get headshot.
What's up, Manny?
Sorry, Manny, I couldn't resist.
That sounds like it's gonna be tough outlets. Like, how do you stop non-FCs from flying it? Like, does it have mid slots? Can I put a warp scrambler on it? That sounds bad.
Well,
I mean, like, I can't really talk on this topic because obviously NDA and stuff. But the general idea would be just a brick that can lock the...
Don't worry about
I mean,
it, because
Fozzie's a smart man. I expect y'all would put a little bit more thought into it than that. Obviously,
Yeah, he's gonna get drunk and we'll speak in a bar about it.
Headshot FCs, like.
Yeah, no, that's what I wanted
Like,
to
it
talk
sucks.
about. Like,
It's a shitty tactic, but I mean, to just be invincible on the field.
well,
Yeah, I mean-
it's supposed to be so that you're invincible, but you can't do anything except call primaries.
Yeah, but part of disrupting a fleet is
part
just
of the game.
It's part
Yeah.
of disrupting is shooting that FC and seeing if they can either adapt. And I mean, if you make that almost seems like one of those unassailable options that I don't know. I'm a small gang FC, but
There
that seems
should
to
be
me like a bad
counter
idea.
for everything in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to define invulnerable. Like, is that tank? Is it like
Yeah.
it can't be webbed? It can not be jammed? Like all of the above?
Can we hold on 1 sec? We need to get a mic check on Manny.
Yeah, actually, why don't we make your mic check your intro there? You've been dragged into this because I thought it might be awkward. So why don't you go ahead and give us a quick intro? Who are you? Who do you fly with? And what do you do in Eve?
He says he
Insidious.
He says he can't hear anything.
Ah,
Yeah,
damn.
you gotta tell them to close and restart. It might work then. I've had similar issues in the past.
Y'all just had to bring him on, didn't you?
I couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
Jay just beat me to it.
Well, we're talking about FC ships, so we wait for Manny to come on. One of the oh, Manny, you there? He's probably got updated his mobile to a newer one. But one of the interesting things about the headshotting FCs is you can see who went to the Mr. V school of FCing, because all Mr. V teaches, basically, and his entire philosophy was headshot the enemy FC to annoy them to no end. And it totally works. But it's the quickest way to end a fight, you know?
Well, I mean, it's one of the oldest
the tactic is good.
Yeah, it's one of the oldest tactics in the military. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, I can see where CCP's coming from, where they want to protect the FC because they foster fights, but it is literally one of the oldest tactics known to warfare, and patching it out or providing a specialized ship that makes it so that it's not a thing anymore, it does seem kind of bullshit.
It just, for a game like Eve, it just seems like such an arbitrary thing, you know.
It won't work out because the thing is, it's not about if you're getting fucking killed or not or whatever. It's about if you're fucking interested in playing the game in the first place. That's what's fucking driving people up. And if people like a Fuzzy are getting fucking drunk and spoiling all the beans in a fucking bar, or doesn't know sometimes what the fuck are they doing, then hey, let's create a fucking cockroach, mokoroch, and pokoroch fucking ship. Yeah, that's a great idea, you fucker.
All right, I'm taking a shot for that. That is
All right, I'm
shot.
going to get another beer. Yeah.
So eloquently put.
We took a turn.
Yeah, tell us how you really feel.
This is what I expected to come in here for. Come on, let's talk about why this game is good. Let's go.
This game is fine. One of my pet peeves, not pet peeves, but one of my kind of like funny things that I like to make fun of the younger kids who are playing Eve. Not like age younger, but people who've only been playing Eve for like 4 or 5 years. Like when they talk about like the good old days and shit, like the game was so broken. Like this game used to be absolutely ridiculously broken in so many different ways.
It was so fun.
Yeah, because everyone was really, really bad when the game was broken too. So I could go to KBP in CVA space and write, "I'm
My
tackling
brother,
the
you
top
can
belt."
only speak for yourself. You were better, right?
No, everyone was bad. I was good. That's why the disparity
You were
was
good.
there.
Everyone was bad. Okay.
That's how I could have fun. I was moderately good at
Eve.
Eve. So yeah, just take a drink, go to KBP, type I'm tackled in the top belt. Like 5 dudes would come in and just kitchen sink garbage. I'd kill them and then leave. And that was it.
Listen, I have a few proofs of some videos of you being bad, boy. So don't talk to me about being bad or good.
That is quite true, sadly.
See, and then there's the people like me and Lady Scarlet who don't FC anymore and just do all the hard work so you guys can blow shit up.
Hard work.
I'm a bureaucrat now.
Do you know what, though? That's almost as much as people talk about the FCs. There are people in certain alliances that are literally, it's like base job and they enjoy doing it, but good God, they're the only ones that make the wheels go round, and most of these alliances wouldn't survive without them. I mean, it's almost probably one of the top 2 most valuable. In some cases, they could be more valuable than the exec in the alliance.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, man. I think it's weird though. Like 4 or 5 years ago, that sentiment just like didn't exist. Like I felt like it was a pretty popular like meme that all the non-FC alliance leaders were the ones like stagnating the games and things like that.
You guys in your boardrooms and your comfy chairs.
It's not like that anymore, but it used to. That definitely used to be the meme going around Eve.
Oh yeah, you shit talk the indie guys and all this other stuff, and they're Care Bears. And I think, don't get me wrong, I mean, you got them. If you don't have the FCs providing content, you're gonna die. But
that's what I was gonna say.
But on the flip side of that, I've been in alliance. 2 different kinds of alliances with great FCs. Both of them had great FCs, but the ones that have really good infrastructure, like things like what Goons are known for, Test has good infrastructure, Darkness has really great infrastructure. Those type of organizations, if they've got good FCs, got everything, man, it's like they're hitting on all 5 cylinders. But if you're in another one where you've got infrastructure, logistics issues, and the bureaucrats keeping the wheels running, and things can grind to a halt even if you've got the greatest FC in the world.
I tell you what, that's actually one of the most interesting things about Darkness is that Darkness is a quote-unquote FC-led coalition. Sorry, FC-led alliance, and yet they don't have some of the same problems we see from other alliances.
Well, that's because Sword always has a counterbalance, right? He had Vigilante for a while. He's always got he's got Boki. He's always got that counterbalance. I mean, it's like if Vince was here, right? And then you have Lady Scarlet. It's it's that balance, I think.
Yeah, I mean, just speaking from as a corp CEO, we don't have a lot of the middle management. A lot of it flows directly from him and the FC team down to the CEOs. And he expects the CEOs to manage their corps. He expects the CEOs to meet what he expects. But there are some critical guys that are in positions, IT positions, different kind of positions that do things just without being told, and because of that, it makes everything work that much better.
All right, that's gonna interrupt real quick. Mr. Sidious, why don't you give us a sound check? See if you can talk to us now.
Nope.
Sad face.
Probably pushing the wrong button.
Classic Manny.
Oh, that still throws me off. You're like, classic Manny. I'm like, wait, I'm known for hitting the right buttons, just not hitting them in the right order.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess while we're waiting for him, one of the things that just totally blows me away about this game. I mean, I'm not in this room right now because I'm in some great FC or Representative Darkness. I'm an administrator for a, fan/media site. And part of how I play the game is administrating Eve News 24. And that just...
Yeah, I'm sorry for interrupting. I apologize. Yeah. Guys, I'm heading out to the sleep. I'm sorry I have to wake up really early tomorrow.
We understand. Here. If you want to go ahead and give us your shout out now, we'll go ahead and give you some time to do so.
No, I just love you all. That's it. Thanks, guys.
Open invites. Later, I do this every week. Have a good one.
Night, Dad.
Bye, man.
Later. But just to shortly finish my thought, it's like people like, so you play this game, so what do you do? And I'm like, part of it is I run, a news site. And I'm like, but that's not in the game. And I'm like, this game has so many different levels and layers to it. It continues every day to blow my mind how we interact and play this game, right?
Well, I mean, 90% of what I play in Eve, no one will ever hear about or know about, most likely. So, I mean, it's just, those unsung stories are what makes this a game so awesome, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we got...
Just tying it back into how we started tonight, it comes back to that trust thing is, the organizations that succeed, the organizations that have the capacity to have people that are both competent in FCing and also those people who are competent in keeping the organization running are doing that based on trust. They're not delegating responsibility to people that are willing to turn on their backs on them in a second. And that's a big advantage that alliances that have been around for a long time have over flash in the pan alliances, new alliances that are trying to do something incredible but don't have that time to develop those middle managers or those people who are doing the background work that have earned trust and have proven the ability to do something without having oversight over them. And that's just something that's really hard to overcome for new alliances. And it's something I've thought about a lot, because Phoenix Federation does have a lot of those smaller and younger alliances. And it's how do you help groups like that develop those people when there's not a long time to build trust in somebody.
Well, speaking of one of those alliances, I think you have somebody here in this room everybody knows, Pantsufan. How's that going?
Oh, let's not talk about him.
I don't know, man. I've never heard of Pantsufan. Somebody fill me in.
No, because then we have to talk about whether or not he did or didn't fake cancer, or just really bad topic.
Yeah, all of the real life stuff aside, he's definitely an example of somebody who is learning when it comes to in-game roles. He started off as people who try to do everything himself as an alliance leader, and nobody is competent at everything. Some of us are less competent, some of us are more competent, but nobody's competent in everything. So I think his just as an object lesson of somebody I've watched is from the sidelines is he's learned how to let other people do things for him and let other people take up the reins. And I think that his alliance is benefiting from that. And it's definitely a part of the maturing process that some alliances are able to go through and some aren't. No matter how competent or incompetent the alliance CEO, if you have a lot of competent people around them that the alliance CEO is able to trust, it can do a lot for that alliance.
I think it's much harder to do that in today's Eve. Like I feel like 5 years ago that a single person could adequately run all aspects of the alliance. But you just can't do that today.
Yeah, Eve has been balanced on the what I like. So in games, there's the power creep, right? So you're always introducing something stronger. Eve was balanced for quite a while on the complexity creep. So things just became more complex, like an order of magnitude more complex to get the same amount of content. And that kind of goes to Travis's point. Like maybe 5 or 10 years ago, when you were playing Eve, there could just be one guy doing the whole thing. I remember my very first major corp that I was in, called Slacker Industries. They played a huge role in Delve 1 in the war, between Bob and Goons and stuff. And it was all led by one guy who was 17 years old. He was graduating high school. It was like the summer after he graduated.
Slacker. Yeah, holy shit.
Yeah, his name was Righteous Fury. He did everything. And then he went to college and he said, I don't want to take a big computer with me. I'm just going to take a laptop. By the way, that means my corp is closed. See you later. And so the entire corp and Alliance just closed because this kid was going to college. And here I was like 20-something years old, being like essentially led and FC'd by, unbeknownst to me at the time, was like a 17-year-old kid. It was absolutely ridiculous.
Well,
it
yeah,
could
I mean,
not exist in modern day, in like this version of Eve.
Don't you feel?
Like pro
don't
guy,
you feel like
back in the day, like it used to literally be like one person. Like for a number of years, like I don't know, probably for like a solid year, I ran virtually every single MC dot move up by myself. Like whenever we wanted to move, I would just log
How
in
old
10
were you?
Hey guys.
and
Hey,
I was
guys.
probably 15 or 16.
Hey guys,
Yeah.
Manny's here. Manny's here.
Manny.
Hold on. Manny, you want to key up?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was just saying, I don't have anything to say. I'm just listening.
I mean, Manny can attest to this. Like it literally used to be like
Manny,
one person.
I mean, I did it. I did it with Nully for the first year. Like, but I also, I've actually had this conversation with a couple of people who were there when Nully started out. I think, yes, the game's got more complex. It's harder to do things, but not just because of changes to the game. Like, I remember way back in the day, people just weren't like as good at the game. Like, they were just alliances all over the place that just sucked, and you could just go to their space with 30 sniper hacks and just get like 200 kills. It was just so easy to get content if you were like even the most remotely competent. But you can't do that as much anymore. Like the best practices have just proliferated down to even average alliances. It's just you can't do it as much.
Oh, well, Pro-Gun and Elise, but do you guys also think that maybe it has to do with, I think as players, we've increased, the game started out with Corps, and then because Corps banded together, they created alliances. Well, that wasn't good enough, so we created coalitions, and now we have super coalitions. So, and we've created this whole infrastructure to support them, and do you think that's part of what's also complicated it?
Yeah. The meta's constantly evolving and constantly getting more complex. It gets harder and harder to figure it all out. And more importantly, as the game goes on, go ahead.
I wouldn't say it's complex. It's more of like, for me, like in my opinion, it's a more of a time factor. Like before, like if I wanted to go somewhere, I could just like say like ping NC dot, get 100 people in Slowcats. I would log in 6 Sinowalts, and if we're in catch and we want to go to Fountain for the night, or we want to go to Geminate for the night, I would just log in the Sinos and tell everybody to just jump there, and they'd be there in 7 or 8 minutes. And I can't do that anymore.
I didn't.
Like it is. I really think it is like pretty much exclusively, or not exclusively. It's pretty much all a time factor though. Now back to the point, you have to actually trust people, because I can't do it all myself. I have to trust people, and things don't get done.
All right, I'm going to interrupt real quick. I just wanted to let everyone know that, Manny's up and running and working again. So I want to go ahead and get a quick intro from him. Manny, give us a good intro, who you are, who you fly with, what do you do in Eve, and then I'll go into the story I was telling about earlier before you hopped on about how I was actually dreading running into you at a bar during an Eve at an Eve meet.
Space nerd, lost a lot of Titans, have a few friends. Play spaceships with friends. Currently in the drone regions.
For everyone else who didn't catch his stirring intro, this is Manfred Sidious, and I was talking to everybody earlier about how I was how sometimes I dread going to Eve meets just in case I end up at the same bar that you do, and people go, "Oh, hey, Manny," and we both turn our heads around.
That'd be a little bit awkward, but
just slightly. Yeah. So I will opt for "Hey, guy who dies all the time."
All good. I've died my fish. So.
What do you think, Manny? Do you think the game's changed because like it's time? I feel like you used to run like alliances on yourself. Like I don't think it's complexity at all.
The game is changing, and it's heading in a different direction, and pretty much everyone, the powers that be, are clinging on to what they were used to, and they're reluctant to change. And but slowly, as CCP incentivizes player behavior, people are forced to adapt, and it's just going to continue. But we're going to go away from the global superpower, so to speak, and it's going to go back more to regional control. And it's just we like, humans are creatures of habits. We get used to certain things, and we like things our way, and so people are reluctant to change, but we'll make it along.
Well, Manny, you're doing something completely new to you and exciting here, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. I get back together in my old corp with friends, and we're just kind of living the simple life. Made a new little alliance, and just gonna, be hillbillies out in drones for a while and relax and have some fun. Called it hooligans, because we're a bunch of miscreants. But yeah, it should be good times.
I remember my time out in drone regions. You're going to have fun.
Yeah. I mean, I love PL. I was part of PL for 7 years, and I just kind of ran out of things to do. I'm really motivated in my play by goals and objectives, and so I needed a new goal and a new objective, and so this seemed like a new little adventure to try. Who knows? It might go wonderful, might go horrible, but I'm just gonna go have some fun.
Maybe I'll poach your whole corp, steal you back.
Stand in line.
We're gonna have a fight here over Manny.
I'm everyone's buddy.
I think that kind of segues into the other thing, which is the lack of content. What does everybody here think about, as far as, obviously there's a drought in content. I mean, that's what's precipitating a lot of this stuff we've talked about earlier. What are your guys' thoughts on what CCP is doing or not doing to address that?
Well, I think Manny kind of hit it. Like, it's going to regional superpowers as opposed to global superpowers, which is fucking retarded, because now, if somebody wants to sit up north and, build 150 Titans, they can do that without really any threat, unless the rest of Eve wants to, go through the misery of, moving up.
Let's see how it plays out before we call it fucking retarded, because the old system was fucking retarded as well.
Yeah, but it was fun. People actually had fights.
It's summer.
No, they didn't.
Okay.
It's summertime right now, and all this has happened before. All this has happened again. I remember.
Yeah, it's fine.
I remember Bob was unbeatable. ASN was unbeatable. Yep. Red Federation was unbeatable. The NC
Goons were unbeatable.
Goons were unbeatable. I mean, everybody's unbeatable until they're beatable. So this too shall come to pass. And the game will shake out. We're just in this weird transition phase, and because CCP is changing so much and it's so time intensive for the development, it's happening. It's playing out slowly in Eve because it takes time for them to completely reshape things in the way that they want to do so. So it feels really soul crushing to us, the players, and that's trying to do things with our friends and create content and so on and so forth, but this too shall come to pass.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about starve for content, I mean, there are a lot of people that I almost damn near left the game in, was it 2014, where half the map was before FozzieSov, right? Half the map was Goons, half the map was Northern Associates, and then the other part of the map was the drone region Russians, and that was it. And no one was fighting. No one was doing anything. And it was like, oh, let's fight. No, there's no reason, because, even if PL was 30 jumps away, they would race over and smack you. So no one would use capitals. No one would use supers. No one would there's never a reason to do anything. And it just seemed boring and stagnating. So despite all the issues there are, at least regionally now, people are I think at least more apt to use and fight and take fights, though. And then I think as players, we're also our own worst enemy because we want to make ISK, we want to rat, we want our safe space. So we don't want to be bothered here, but we want fights. So sometimes we get what we ask for, but then we don't want what we ask. But then we find a way to break the system and make it as safe as possible so no one takes our space.
One of Eve's most famous pastimes and best pastimes is complaining about how shit the game is. You know, like that's what Eve players know, and that's what Eve players love. That's what we do. I don't think like the game's super starved for content right now. I mean, obviously fewer people are logging in. A large part of that is just fewer alts are logging in. But there's still fights. Like I was in a 1,200 man fight like 3 days ago. It's just that they're moved all over the place now. You can project them sometimes, but sometimes you can't, and it feels like the old way of getting fights was threatening someone's stuff, right? Now the way you get fights is by like threatening someone's like ratters and stuff like that, or tackling a Rorqual, or doing stuff like that. So it's a much smaller scale, so it feels really drastically different. Like I can't go over to Jintan's space and just reinforce all of his CSAAs, right? I have to go sit and reinforce like 3 Asbels, and then a week later come and fight. It's different. Or I just go over there and just roam in 12 to 20 man fleets and catch some of his ratters and see if he does a home defense fleet, which then I try and counter or run away from.
I do like that roaming is coming back. I'm glad you brought up the alt thing and the PCU thing. One of the constant complaints, everyone's like, oh, look at the PCU number, it's going down. I mean, I think you got to look at the way that Eve's changed and the way you play it. It just because the PCU number is going down, I think back in the day you had to be logged into the game more just to play the game. Now all the alliances have very efficient jabber systems where you can basically sit logged off until the content's delivered to you, log in for 2 hours, get it, and then log back off. You can do all kinds of different stuff outside the game. You just don't need to be logged in as much. I mean, I remember back when I used to send out alliance mails to get people to join fleets. It's a different era.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I still live in that era because
yeah, he does. It's hilarious.
I still have to send alliance mails, or I do not get people in my fleets.
All
right, I've got to ask the noob question here real quick before I lose my train of thought. We were talking earlier about how somebody could get away with making 150 Titans and save space because of jump fatigue. I did have a real quick question that I just don't know because I don't build things. Do Titans require moon goo?
No. They require no moon goo.
No, and you can have all the super capitals that you want in the world, but you have to use them, and you have to use them correctly. Like we went and took on the CFC, and on paper, the CFC had a overwhelming amount of supers and titans at their disposal. But when it came time to put them into use, they simply failed to do it. So just because you have the tools, you have to know how to use them and be willing to use them. And so, I mean, that's where the term paper tiger comes from. Okay, as far as what we were talking about a second ago, I know we're all pasty white nerds in this channel, but not everybody that plays EVE Online does, and for some reason this time of year they're attracted to the big ball of fire in the sky, and that usually affects the PCU. And every summer it's the same conversation: the sky is falling, woe is us.
EVE is dead.
It'll get cold outside, and the skinny little athletic shits will be back inside wanting to play spaceships, and we'll all be rejoicing.
Oh, man. So that answers one question that I have on my path of not being so much of a nub. Basically, the reason why I asked was because I'm trying to define exactly what these moon mineral changes will actually affect. I was thinking if they use some moon goo in their construction, that we'd be able to interdict some of that supply once the change actually comes through. That's one thing I actually really see happening is, massive moon goo interdiction fleets coming up and attacking people while they're mining these moon asteroids.
Well, it all depends on the mechanics. Let's throw some hypotheticals out here. They've mentioned that the people who own the refinery, yes, you'll be able to visually see the big giant chunk coming out of the moon slowly floating towards your refinery. But they also said that the people who own the refinery will be able to press the button to start the mining operation whenever they want. If they can mine that shit in 2 hours and they can press the button and start the mining op whenever they want, it's going to be really difficult to plan an interdiction op. You'll have to do that spur of the moment, in which case it's really no different than the current Rorquals mining in belts right now. It's just another thing that Rorquals are mining. However, if it's a different mechanic and you might have some more, notice, or you might be able to plan it out more, or if you're feeding spies into their alliance and can see when they're going to do it, it might generate more content. The refineries sound something where minor tweaks to how they work can considerably change what kind of content they'll create.
So to Manny's point, the game is changing from how it used to be to how it's gonna be now. They want people to be in space. They want fights to be more fluid. Back in the day, or right now even, you can go shoot a pos and you'll know exactly when, one day 17 or one day 12, that you're gonna have a fight there. So 2 fleets will just show up and duke it out over that grid. Now it's gonna be completely fluid. Maybe I bring a fleet and you don't do anything. Maybe I bring a fleet in, I catch all your miners and steal your moon goo. Who knows what's gonna happen? It's just a really big
Maybe
change,
I bring a fleet of miners and mine all your moon goo in front of you while you're hiding in the station.
Oh man!
But see, I like that, Elise. I feel like you mentioned earlier, you go through Pravi with 12, 15-man fleets and try and catch a Rorqual. That's back to the 2008, 2007 days where roaming was a thing, and I feel like the game was a lot more stable back when roaming was constant.
Exactly. You have people in space doing things, and that gives you reasons to want to have defense fleets to protect those people, because those people that are doing things are for your interest, and that gives people reasons to want to interdict and disrupt and destroy those things, and that's just organic conflict drivers that can spring up from nothing. And that's really cool.
I just thought of something that I wanted to put out there for Jinton to put on his list of things to talk to CCP about. If you don't have a list, make a list. I would love to see.
You think I don't have a list?
Well, I say it's about the best focus group you're going to get.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. Listen, this is gold for you.
Listen up, CCP. I'm doing your job for
you. You are a fucking hero, Jay. But anyway, as I was saying, I would love to see a CovOps capable mining barge. This would make offensive.
Already CovOps capable mining ships.
Right, mining ships, but nothing that has the hold of a barge. I want to see an offensive mining barge. Yeah, an exhumer that can go through CovOps bridges. That way, not only can you go in and.
My question for that is, why don't you just use a fucking blockade runner or covert ops hauler?
Because I want to not only be able to scare the miners off of their field of moon goo, I want to jump in my own CovOps miners to mine that in front of them while they're docked in the station.
Not to jump too far off in the weeds, but I was talking to a CCP dev the other day, and I was like, when you bring out
oh my god, yeah,
you should totally just reseed all the moons in Eve. They've all been set for 14 years.
Only for the love of only if they fucking make scanning moons less fucking cancer.
I mean, I just think it'd be awesome. Nobody knows where anything is. It's a mad rush,
Oh,
right now, every alliance is saying we're going to put a drilling platform.
Remember when they changed from Uli to Jada and what a PETA that was?
They have. I mean, Fozzie's publicly said that he's very much considering not giving anyone a switchover period for moon mining. So just your posers will work, and then they won't, and then moon mining stuff will be out. Good luck. Like, you don't get to anger them before. It's like, all right, well, your moon mining stuff no longer works. Have fun, kids.
Well, it's one thing to take the tools away and switch them up all at once. It's another thing to take the tools away and switch them up all at once, and then switch up all the moons, so the information that you have is also out of date.
Well, and I think just kind of put a little highlight on something. I think when the faction Citadel changes come out, and the moons, I mean, that's going to be, I mean, you know, I know there's the running joke about divvying a Pravi block, but, you know, that's going to be some content. Those things are going to be pretty damn valuable.
Yeah, that will be a fun little time. I will actually probably enjoy it.
Gonna interrupt you guys real quick. Elise Randolph has to work here in a little bit, so we're gonna go ahead and give him a spot for a shout out.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. Hopefully I'll be on more often, but just want to give a shout out to the Pandemic Legion Alliance Tournament Group. You know, those guys are fighting for their lives, and I know you guys are going to be talking about AT stuff. July 29th, Alliance Tournament action is going to be there. I hope you guys watch. It's really one of the most fun and interesting things you can do in EVE. It's very un-EVE-like, but also very EVE-like at the same time in terms of the meta. So go check that out. You'll be able to see Jintan's pretty face and possibly some very flashy clothes that he may or may not own. But yeah, thanks for having me, guys. And I will listen to the rest of this podcast on my commute to work tomorrow. So don't talk about me too much.
We'll definitely have to have you on before the AT kicks off properly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Open
weeks in
invite.
house with you at least.
Yeah, I do this show same time every week. Please hop on. You have an open invite, dude.
Whee.
Sorry, I was just about to say that the same thing applies for Tark and ProGod Legend here, so we're going to go ahead and let them do quick shout-outs.
All right, well, hey, I just want to shout out to everybody that spends their time making the game fun for others, because people don't play a game that isn't fun. So people who spend hours a day creating that fun, they need some recognition. I appreciate what they do. Whether they're fighting me or not, they are creating the EVE experience, so thank them. And of course, I want to shout out for everyone inside my own coalition that's going crazy right now, trying to get things done day to day. Thank them for what they do. You guys have a good night.
Awesome. Thanks for coming, Tark. ProGod.
Yeah, shout out to all the vets, man. People have been playing EVE for years, keeping it going. Really like it.
Yeah, we'd have no one to learn from without them.
Well, it's become so weird now. We've been playing for so long, like, the game's almost going back, like we're saying. Remember back in 2007, 2008, and it's like 10 fucking years ago, and the game's coming back to some of that.
I think I know I'm a masochist, but I happen to think that the game was awesome before jump drives and jump freighters and jump bridges existed. It was amazing. Like, and when you had to depend more on your team out in Nullsec doing things and creating things, and it just created so much more local content, and it was a lot of fun. But...
Thanks for coming, ProGod.
Yeah, no problem. I know it said I was going to be on all night, but I realized he at least mentioned that he has work in 6.5 hours, and I was like, I don't have work tomorrow, and I was like, but I do have to turn in a report, so
yeah,
at 8 I was supposed to, so I'm probably going to be up all night now. I totally forgot about that shit.
Well, have fun with that.
Anyway, yeah, talking later.
Take care, Peach.
Okay, typically when I see a whole bunch of guests drop off, that's a good time to call it quits. But hey, we still have a whole bunch of guests here, so we can keep going. Awesome! You are a fucking hero, Jay. I can't kiss your ass enough for this.
Yeah, I had one thought. I just written a note down that I'll just quickly tag that they were talking, I think it was Manny that was talking about shuffling the moons. And I remember how much conflict up until when I was in Tribe, when the HBC was going on, right? Shadu was coming to us, and he was talking about Thunderdomes, and they were discouraging Montolio and all those people from wanting to fight the goons, right? Sov Warfare sucks. No one wants to have Sov Warfare. It's horrible. Everybody hates it. Forget it, forget it, forget it. And then we're going to make some Thunderdomes so everyone will be happy and have content. And then all of a sudden CCP announced that, all the Moon that people had up north and then other places were going to shift, and all of a sudden Delve had a lot more Moon Goo, and then all of a sudden Sov Warfare was fun again, and wars broke out literally overnight over I guess it was at the Technadium and the R64 shifting and the redistribution. So yeah, I mean, there's some definite validity to what he said.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if a region like Scalding Pass ended up with a lot of moons?
Yeah,
that would be completely hilarious.
Think about that. Clan dead.
Yeah, I mean, we're just gonna have to see how it all shakes out. I can't really talk about it, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
It just got quiet in here.
I usually clean up at yours. There's no sound.
Lady, do you want to talk at all about what you've been up to? I know you've been doing a bunch of cool stuff and renting space and all that. Do you want to talk about any of that?
Well, I'm not sure how interesting renting space is, but we've been dealing with initiative a little bit, poking us, trying to create content, and dealing with that. And so far, we've kept all the timers and whatnot, and continuing to rent the space. So good luck to them. Yeah, I mean, that's about the most exciting thing about renting space. I'm sure everybody that lives there and doing their thing is happy. So.
Yeah, well, as one of my advertisers, I've got plenty of reason not to pick on renters at Eve News 24. Last time we did that almost cost us half my revenue.
Yeah, for all the shit that people talk about renting, I can say as a former renter myself, it's not that bad. And I made a lot of money out there.
It's relaxing. You ain't got to deal with bullshit. You ain't got to deal with CTAs. You just can do whatever you want within reason and have fun.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, a lot of people talk shit about renters all the time, but at some point in their life, they had to start Eve, and most of them have probably went through some kind of renter system or a pet of somebody's or whatnot. So, I mean, people got to learn and got to grow. And I think it's one of the best platforms to give a newer player, the ability to earn some misc and learn how to defend themselves.
Well, and I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, obviously a lot of people already left, but I mean, there's people on Test, there's people on PL, NC Dot, Phoenix Federation. I mean, every group that, has, Goons, Imperium, right, that have alts in Renter Corps, so they can just, play the game they want to, when they don't want to be fleeting up every 5 seconds.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we have, I know NC, for example, is really demanding. I'm pretty sure PL is demanding in their own way and whatnot. And sometimes, people just want to, between a CTA or whatever, just do something that they consider fun. There's people out there that want their 4th or 5th Titan for God, whatever reason, and so they have the ability to do it. And I know NC doesn't allow bearing inside of our alliance. We're not big on industry or anything like that. So, there's people that, will go and make their industry corps or whatever and do their thing. And PL, everybody does it, so.
Well, beyond that, and when I first came into the game, so, we forget there's a whole segment of the game in high sec who, they may not particularly want to get out and get in the biggest battles. They're in social corps. They want to do stuff, right? But they don't necessarily, taking over half of New Eden is not their dream. There's a guy who's running a corp and a renter alliance right now who his biggest goal is to have a corp build a Palatine Keepstar. Now, there's obvious limitations and realities to building that, but for them, being a renter they're happy with that because it allows them to meet the needs of their members, to rent and build and be part of that industrial complex they want to be a part of. So, you're providing a service for these former high-sec types that can go out in Null-sec now and can build peacefully and do what they want without the stress of having to deal with holding SOV as a PvP SOV alliance. So, I mean, it's all about how many variations and shades there are of playing this game. So renter, a lot of people want to use that as a bad word. Care Bear is a bad word, but this game is a social game and a sandbox about playing it the way you want. And that's what keeps the game, I think, enduring year after year.
And I'm going to put this out there. If you're flying a mining barge or an exhumer in a high sec, come on, join a renter alliance. If you're not going to join a proper Null-sec alliance, join a renter alliance. Don't waste your talents. You could make so much more money out here.
Oh, definitely. I mean, and they can put stuff up on contract, and builders will buy. I mean, you can make tons.
Yeah, I think for a long time there wasn't, miners weren't really so valued to Null-sec entities because there was so much top-down income. Alliances could get everything they needed from just going to JITA, so on and so forth. That's becoming less and less of a reality. I think now we're in a space where everybody really is starting to value being able to get resources locally and use those resources locally. And I think now miners are a much more integral part of alliances that live out in Null-sec. So I think if you are one of these miners living up in high-sec, you would probably be a very welcome addition to a Null-sec organization. And like they're saying, you don't have to dive into some try hard Null-sec alliance where you expect it to be at every CTA. You could dip your toes in a nice little runner corp or something like that, and go from there. It's the game is a changing.
Yeah, well, you were talking about that bottom-up thing. I think the miners, the ones that are willing to go out and mine this stuff up and to make sure these moons are harvested and all that, I think they're going to become more critical to the survival of a lot of these alliances. One thing I can credit, and I was talking with Jay about this the other day, one thing I can credit the goons with is, everyone craps on renters and the Jags and the Care Bears, right? But one thing goons did is they bring those Care Bears in. They give them a place to mine. They find systems. They provide an infrastructure, security, and then eventually they co-opt them to help support the alliances. But they do a good job of making those quote-unquote Care Bears feel welcome. And I've got a friend who had a Care Bear Corp, and he's like, the goons take care of it, so blah, blah, blah. And, maybe I don't want to say that or hear that because I've always been sort of goon, but you got to respect the willingness to see where the meta's going and push in that direction. And I think these alliances that are quote-unquote anti-Care Bear, anti-Jags, anti-miners, they're going to find themselves in a hurt over the next, in the coming future.
Yeah,
another thing I want to put out there real quick, just because you're a miner and you're a Care Bear, don't think that you can't be of some use. There's not just the mining throughput that you can do and the help you can do to a system's ADM. I'm speaking in particular to the Entosis skiff. You don't need a bunch of PvP skills to fly it. You need tanking and jump clone skills. And it is super fucking handy. Soft miner. I fly soft miners all the fucking time when I'm doing Entosis shit. And I will fucking swear by them because they will last for fucking ever.
Hey, I'm a miner and a Care Bear, and I do pretty well.
Yeah, seriously.
I was just going to say that miners and industrialists are really the heroes of the game, because without them, PvPers don't have shit to fly, and that's the reality of it.
Well, let's be
Keep
real.
building worms for me to explode.
Let's be real. Anyone, and I say this as someone who loves to PvP and get in fleets, it takes a whole lot less skill to sit in a DPS ship and press F1 and follow a talented FC than it does for a guy to sit there and import the blueprints, invent this, make this, come up with this. I mean, we had guys in our corp that build Capitals, Titans, Supers, or just regular ships, and they've got whole spreadsheets and programs on what they need to import. What do I need to do? How much do I need to get this for? Buy orders, sell orders. I mean, there's a lot more to do to build the stuff we blow up than it is to actually just push the F1 button and shoot it.
And then when you get blown up, you get SRP and do it again.
Yeah, and that was kind of my point from earlier. For a long time, since the introduction of jump bridges and jump drives and things like that, the jump freighter, it kind of created this disconnect from PvPers and miners. But the relationship has always been symbiotic. But now with the way changes have been taking shape in the game, that relationship is kind of coming back together. PvPers are starting to understand and appreciate more of those miners from producers.
Manny, you remember back in the day when you had to have like a PvP fleet to escort the haulers to like Jita just to sell your shit and then take it back to 0-0?
I was saying, earlier I made the comment that I'm a masochist. I actually liked those ops because, man, I can remember so many fights that happened off of the back of freighter ops and like protecting them, and like, oh wow, ASCN and Chimera Pack are moving freighters down the head pipe. Let's fleet up and go fight them, and maybe we'll kill the freighters and get some juicy loot.
Well, I think one of the things that's really changing is it used to be that your super pilots were your rock stars. Those are the guys you want to recruit. I mean, that still is that the case today. But the people that people are really after are the multi-boxers, the guys that run 10, 20, 30, 50, 60 Rorks and have these operations set up where they're pumping out 10 supers a day, right? And those are the new people that everybody's after now.
I can tell you, I just opened back up my corp, Havoc, and I'm recruiting all types of players because I see that right now having a balanced corporation is important, but going forward, it's going to be even more important. I was a CSM, so I got to see where CCP was headed, and from what they've said, it's pretty clear where they're headed. And having a balanced group of players that can do everything in the game is going to become increasingly important. With that, Havoc is recruiting.
Yeah, I think Jinton has to depart.
Yeah, it's nearly 6 a.m. local time here, and I am to some degree beholden to sleep patterns, so I am going to head off.
Next week, we'll definitely talk about the faction citadels.
Actually, I wanted to say something before you hopped off, Jinton. When you released that video on faction citadels and the possible fights that they could ensue, right around that exact same time, I moved to Triumvirate.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed the videos. At least I put a lot of effort into them. They're fun to make.
Oh yeah, I absolutely loved them. I was hoping to have you on the show, and then Jay just made it happen. That was fucking amazing.
Yeah, just like I'm the resident media whore. Like if people just ask me to come on things, I generally do.
Dude, I do this shit every week. You are open. You have an open invite anytime.
Okay, cool. I'll probably take you up on that at some point. It's just hard getting on at the 2 a.m. shows sometimes.
Yeah, I gotta cater to a lot of my U.S.-based guests.
Yeah, well, one day I'll emigrate to the U.S. and it'll become a lot easier, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Well, go ahead. Yeah, give us a quick shout out and shamelessly plug yourself, because that's one goal that I had for you on this show.
First, obviously, just shameless plug for my YouTube channel. It's just Jintan. or Gin Talks, depending on what videos you want to watch. And I talk about everything from EVE Politics to the Alliance Tournament, and specifically about how to FC as well, because that's what I do in the game, and I love it. And with that, well, shout out to my corporation, Pentag Blade, and especially to Thunder, who is a guy who's sadly had to quit the game recently, but he's a good friend of mine, and I'm very sad to see him go.
Awesome. Thank you for being on.
No worries. Have a wonderful day.
Take care, Jintan. It's good to talk.
It's good to talk to you as well. Oh, by the way, Manny, I have to say something. My gran really loves your voice. She heard you on I believe it was God, what was it? The podcast you did in like Imaginary Worlds or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she said that she liked your voice. My grandma.
Tell her I said
just yeah. It's a weird world to live in. Yeah. Anyway, take care.
Awesome. Wow, the guest list gets shorter. Urziel had to go too. He's got hemodialysis tomorrow, so gotta be up for that. But holy shit. Well, I did say before I started recording that I was going to talk about the new Project Discovery thing, and I was gonna do a little Project Discovery on the stream. Has anyone had a chance to try it out yet?
No,
I haven't. I tried it. Yeah. Honestly, it's not. I mean, it was. I want to, but it's just not something. I don't know. I think I tried to it, but CCP had it down for maintenance, and then I just never got back to it.
Yeah, I didn't really care for it.
A few of my court members have, and they've, there's apparently some cool little, I don't know, outfits or something you can get for it, or skins or something.
So, well, I heard you can also get the Concord ships with it.
Yeah.
No, I feel like we're on that train that all of a sudden just ran out of gas.
I think everybody's full asleep.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been an odd week. I've been an odd week. This has been an odd year for me. I started out sort of in just playing the game, and I've been friends with different people in different alliances, and then I just started writing for EVE News 24, and then all of a sudden I had this opportunity to not only launch and run my own corp, but to lead EVE News 24, which is sort of like running an alliance in some ways, because you definitely deal with so many personalities and not only that, but butt hurts and stuff throughout the game, but the ability to influence the game. And you were talking about providing content. That's the biggest thing I want to do with EVE News right now, is I want people to be able to log in and find stuff that interests and read them. Because when I started playing the game and I started reading, holy crap, there's news sites dedicated. There's investigative journalism. And I know people may cough when I say that, but there are guys that work for me, even Seraph, who a lot of people may not like, but these guys really dig and take their time and want to do a job, and they may not be everybody's cup of tea, but I'm definitely proud of the work and the effort we're putting into growing the site and getting it back up to the standard that everybody thinks it should be, I guess.
I have over the past, I'd say 6 months, I have seen a remarkable improvement in EVE News 24, in that it definitely still feels like you guys are trying to give more complete, more unbiased information, and I think that's just going to pay dividends for you guys. So kudos on that.
Well, I'll be honest. The part of the issue for a long time was they had a really great ISK stream. They got money from the casinos. That ISK stream dried up. We didn't keep up. We failed in two things. We didn't find a way to replace our revenue, and INN, I'll give them credit where credit's due. INN really freaking took the ball with this whole Twitch streaming and getting things out there, and people like that, right? You got Elise, you got Lady Scarlet, you got people who are known names or sort of legend. I mean, everyone in this room that has been in this room with me today, it blows me away that the beginning of the year I was just a guy in a corp, and now I'm talking to some people that I've read about and sort of respected for years. And So we've had to do a major shakeup and change things. We've got to get into the Twitch and stream game. We've got to get faction warfare guys who report. I just hired like 7 reporters this week. We've even through partners and some of our sponsors like Lady Scarlet and the other alliances and Renner Alliances and Corps who are now taking out ads with us have made it so that we can pay more for writers and get back to that the type reporting that people want. Because you also have to be able to pay people for their time, so.
What is it? How's that? I heard something about that EN24 was getting more hits and stuff than INN or something.
Oh, okay. I mean, if I go into that, I'm probably going to start a slap fight. We did well.
Hey, that's entertainment right there, buddy.
Yeah. So here we go.
I am the co-host. I gotta stir it up.
Okay. So at the big, we've always run ahead of them, behind them. We've had this. Now they did their rebranding, and they definitely had a good couple of months where they beat in page hits. However, I think the end of the branding, we're now seeing things sort of settle back out. Like in June, we did really, really well. We like doubled their traffic. We had a good month. July is going to be dead. A lot of people try to point to last year. You guys are compared to this time last year. Well, it was World War. There's a big difference in the content available. So the real answer is going to come in the metrics as far as how are we doing? Are we getting our foot back under us at the end of the year? When fall is back, when everybody's back and playing and reading, do our numbers continue in the way they are? Salavan, to his credit, was a great writer. That guy wrote really good battle reports. But I used to get a lot of complaints like, all we're getting is battle reports. What about HiSec? What about faction warfare? What about this? What about that? And then he burned himself out because he was writing all the time. And part of it was because we didn't have the ISK to pay the staff we needed. So he took on so much that he burned himself out. So one of the things I did was I immediately spent the last 2 months fixing that ISK problem, getting more sponsors and partners, and identifying the areas we need, which is more talented writers. Because it doesn't matter how I may be the editor-in-chief, but I'm not shit when it comes to Eve News 24. It's the guys like Ishtar, the new writers that we have, Crowfoot, and these other guys that want to come out of that think, holy crap, I can get an article up on a site that, anywhere from 250,000 to 1 million people read a month. Well, 250,000 to 1 million page hits per month. So to them, that's an overwhelming thing, and working them through the process and getting them confident enough to write these articles. And then these guys turn into the real all-stars because they're the ones providing the content that people like to read.
Yeah. You guys really seem like you've done a good job.
Oh, we're trying. We've still got a ways to go. And then getting into the Twitch streaming and thing, that's kind of the next thing that we're sort of looking at.
I'd like to see some sponsoring for more Twitch streamers. After EveBet went under, there hasn't really been that many resources out there.
Well, I think there's some resources coming. I think the people that have the ISK are wanting more content.
Yeah, well, and then I guess one other point I want to make is when people try to compare us to INN, there's a big difference. INN, in my mind, is almost a business. I mean, those guys, and they've got just like Goons, they've got a very solid structure. They're a very professional run environment. We're a bunch of guys in a room who just love the game and want to write about it. So there makes a huge difference in sort of the environment. We're professional in what we try to do, and we try to, have a certain standard. But flip side, there are no rules at Eve News 24 as it comes to, sacred cows. If you want to write an article slamming Eve News 24, I've flat out told Matterell and those guys, I will pay Mittens to come on, and I'll pay him the standard fee if he wants to write an article criticizing us, and we'll publish it and edit it. And I think that's the one thing that differentiates us, because we're not trying to be a business. We're just trying to be dudes that are providing content and things for people to read and stories about what's happening. And are some of those biased? Of course they are. I mean, this is a game about passions, about planting your flag, about my side is better than your side and who won this. Anyone that says you're going to get bias out of everything, and we're not the Washington Post, and we're never going to be that. Are there standards we should try and meet? Of course. But, everyone that criticizes it's all opinionated bias stuff. Well, duh, we play Eve. It's all who's winning what, right?
Yeah.
No, I agree. It's good to see that there's more articles coming out from you guys and more depth, and I gotta say that article we discussed earlier in the show about Triumvirate and what they're doing, that was pretty damn in depth.
Well, that was a hard one to write. Like, usually when I write like the big deep stuff, I take my time, and there's a little fear going into that too, because it's like, it's either going to be an embarrassment or it's going to do well. I'm happy with the way it was received. And I'm sure there was some of that you planned as well, right? That you were able to bring people on here with me after you saw the article I dropped and were able to invite me that were involved in that, and that it was impressive for me to be able to the individuals and some of the people who I had talked to some of them already, and some of them I'd heard from their people. So it's it's I don't know. I'm babbling, so.
Yeah, it's very rare that you get something like that breaks, and then 95% of the people involved in it are able for a follow-up.
Yeah, no, that was great. And then of course that recording that Garst dropped in the middle of the week, which I think was an attempt to control the narrative, but I don't know, my opinion, it sort of backfired on him. And then it was like manna from heaven when that happened, because I'm like, oh my God, that just sort of feeds right into what everyone's telling me. So, and I don't deny that there could be a significantly different view. It doesn't matter, because here's the thing: two people can go into the same fight in the same room, right? And walk out of there and both believe they won that fight. They both came out successful, and the other side convinced the other one lost, because in Eve it's all about the spin and the view and what do you think about it, and did you achieve this objective, or how do you feel about it? And that's also part of why alliances can spin stuff. Can I get a link to our Twitch account? We don't have a Twitch account yet. We'll be launching it. We've got some new sponsors and funders who will work with us on that. So I guess I'll just shamelessly plug that for a moment. But yeah, that there will be podcasting and Twitch coming soon. TM.
We can't hear you, man.
Sorry about that. I hope to be part of that a little later on.
You want to segue into that?
Yeah, sure. I don't mind, but
Johan?
Oh, for sure. Part of, being able to launch something like this is to get with people who have that talent, right? Or even have an audience. And so definitely, we're in the initial discussions with Manny, and we'd love, I think our initial politics show, you've got a great one on INN, and I would love to see a counterbalance for the other, for the rest, for Eve News to have. And I think Manny's going to be one of the paths that we go for that.
Fuck yeah. Manny's UN Council bar room.
Yeah, I think I'll definitely have to join you on that one.
Oh, hell yeah. I'd be down for that. I got to talk to Pukin about what he wants to do. I'm syndicated on his network right now, but I don't think it's going to cause any conflicts or anything like that. Just more places to put the show, right?
Always.
Speaking of the show, we have unfortunately been at this for already 2 hours. We're going to go ahead and go into shout-outs, and the way that we do our shout-outs, it's a chance to shamelessly plug yourself. We start from the bottom of the list currently, so that's going to be you, Mr. Sidious, and we'll go up the list until I make my grand appearance at the end, and we'll go ahead and wrap up the show. Manny, go ahead and give us your shout-outs.
I don't really have much. I just wanted to say hi to all my pals, and Havoc is recruiting, created a new alliance, and gonna have some fun together. Lots of stuff on the horizon, some pretty cool opportunities to work with a lot of friends. So, looking forward to it.
Awesome. Lady Scarlet?
I just, hi to everybody in NC and my corp, Dice, and, those that are interested in renting, they can join the We RMT pub channel. It's 2 separate words, so you can hit me up in game if you can't find it. And other than that, it's nice talking to everybody.
Absolutely. It's awesome to have you on the show. Johan?
Well, I'll start with Eve News 24. Definitely hiring this video guys, writers. You want to be a part of the story or write those stories. You don't have to have any particular great talent. We can always find something for you to do and make you part of the team. Beyond that, my corp in Darkness and Guardians of the Galaxy Diplomatic Incident is recruiting. You can look me up in game under Johan Landier. And if you don't want to go north, I've got some good buddies down in Southern Comfort. They're always recruiting and looking to go. They're in Test Alliance.
Awesome. And the hero of the hour, Jay, give us your shout out, bro.
Well, I want to thank all my friends who showed up tonight. I appreciate it. Lady, Manny, Johan. And definitely give a plug to BSIT, Blue Sun, the indie group in drones, and of course, Manny. I wanted to confuse you guys.
Thanks a bunch for that, by the way. Oh, man. So my shout-outs go to everybody who's been listening and watching on Twitch. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We've had a lot of new followers today, and I do want to thank everybody who's given me a follow, sub on YouTube, comments, all sorts of things. Everybody who's been participating, it's been awesome. I do want to thank Jay again. Dude, I cannot kiss your ass enough for this. You're literally going to have my face print on your lower back. I do thank you so much for getting these awesome guests on the show. If you are interested in being a guest on the Manny Bothans' primary podcast, you can talk to me, Manny Bothans, in game. You can find me on Twitter at MrMannyBothans. You can find me on YouTube. Just drop me off a comment. I link all of the YouTube videos in with the podcast postings. Wow, this has been an amazing show. So let me scroll back up to the top of my list here. Holy shit, there's been a lot of folks here. All right, so where's the top of my list at? Damn it. This is the one problem about having a shit ton of guests. I'm just going to go through it randomly. For Jinton, for Urziel99, for Jay, Johan, Lady Scarlet, Manfred Sidious, UAX Death, Travis, Tarkin, hold on, Elise Randolph, Darkness, Pro God Legend, Urziel99, and myself. This is Manny Bothans reminding you that Manny Bothans died to bring you this broadcast. Fortunately, his medical clone was somewhere nearby. Holy shit, people. We will see you next week. Peace out.